Okay, I'd like to call the Thursday, August 15th Board of Education Business Meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Would everybody please stand for the pledge?
Jonathan Thurber.
Here.
Michelle Kaiser. Here. David Clifford is not here. Doug Hendersworth.
Here.
Pat Knitzky. Here. Wilma Rhodes.
Here.
Larry Nolan. Thank you.
Okay, the exits are to your right and to your left behind you, and behind us to the right. Subject 2.1, may I please get a motion to approve the agenda as presented and/or amended? Mike? Patty? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 3.1. Can I please accept the minutes of the Business Board of Education meeting held on July 15th? Mike? Ian? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 3.2. Please get acceptance of the Board of Education business meeting for July 15th. The first one was the board chart, sorry. Board meeting, chart. Aaron, Mike, any discussion? All in favor? Aye, motion passes 6-0. Subject 3.3, may I please get acceptance for the special business meeting held on July 30th. Mike, Aaron, any discussion? All in favor? Aye, motion passes 6-0. Subject 4.1, reports and presentations. I will hand over to Superintendent Addy.
Good evening. Happy August, happy summer, almost end of summer, and back to school already. So within that vein, we are looking ahead to the 2024-2025 school year. We have several things. There's a lot more than this going on, but I just wanted to highlight some key things from some of our departments that we have moving forward. So our smart boards were replaced this summer. They were replaced with BenQ boards. They are really neat in that it's basically kind of a Chromebook on the wall. So it's self-contained. You can absolutely connect a computer to it, but it also can operate by itself. So that's a neat addition, and those were installed over the summer in the classrooms. We have some upcoming cybersecurity changes. We are elongating the password requirements, and we'll be doing some more phishing training over the year. This is all part of the new mandates coming down from the state for cybersecurity. And of course, just learning lessons from peers. Goshen did have the ransomware attack over the summer. They were attacked in, I think, the second week of July, and they just came back online this week. So we always learn from those things, and the attacks are out there, and Mike does his best to make sure that we all stay safe. He has an entire monitor in his office tracking cyber attacks throughout the world, I think, not just Green Lake, but the world that he watches. So we have our own guardian watching over us at all times. In addition, we are implementing Lightspeed Classroom. We had GoGuardian, which was a classroom management tool, and Lightspeed had the same product basically as a part of the package that we were already paying for, and so we're moving over to Lightspeed Classroom. But again, we'll have the same functions as GoGuardian did. In human resources, the mandated training coming down from the state. There's kind of an ever-growing list of mandated trainings from the State Department. We used to have what we call the compliance video from BOCES, and I think when I first started here, it was about 25 to 30 minutes, and then it grew to 37, and then 45, and then 50, and then it got to be, they just said, we're not doing this anymore because there was too much to keep up with. And so almost every district, it has moved to a software program where, and also there's also rules about how the training needs to be. Some trainings can be passive and you just watch a video, but there's other ones that the law states they have to be interactive. You have to answer a quiz at the end. It has to be interactive along the way during the training to make sure you're paying attention and not just playing a video and checking a box. So the software company GCN does that, and so Teresa Finn, our Human Resources and Benefits Coordinator, has been actively working on that. We'll be introducing that to staff this fall, and that's what we will be using looking forward. In transportation, we are working on the school bus arm cameras. We finally have that here in Orange County, and we are working on the contract now. It's at legal and council, and we hope to maybe start implementing cameras by spring. So those will be implemented, and I actually have had some residents ask me about it because they saw the announcement across the rest of the county. So that's something we've been asking for and working on for years, and so we should be doing that. That is through Bus Patrol, is the name of the company. And they are contracted with the County of Orange. It's not a Greenwood Lake contract with the County of Orange, and we have our own subcontract off of that contract. And the reason why it has to be through the county is because our buses travel all over to different jurisdictions, right? So our buses are in Greenwood Lake and Warwick PD and Goshen PD, so there's one tracking system for the whole county. In terms of communications, there are several districts that have moved away from School Messenger because it is a bit cumbersome to use and has not really kept up with the technology. So there are some different options out there, so we'll be exploring that over the course of the year. We may look at a mid-year shift, or it might be a 25-26 shift, but we are examining that and looking at that. Always looking to better communicate with parents. I think the key is that a lot of districts now have apps to get those alerts from, and they can just go in and change their settings. In terms of curriculum, the data team, particularly at the elementary school, and the teachers at the elementary school together worked over the course of the year evaluating some different phonics programs, and they are eager to move forward with the Youth Fly Phonics program. It would be replacing, thank you. It would be replacing Foundations Phonics program that we've had in place for several years. This has a much better scope and sequence, and it has more explicit instruction. We are going to have the teachers do a presentation in September to the Board of Education about that and why they wanted to move towards that and what that program is. So we're looking forward to that. Then we also, the science of reading is the mandate coming down from the state in terms of how we teach reading. We are already, I believe, in compliance with that because really it's just based on the Big Five, which is phonemic awareness, phonics instruction, vocabulary, fluency, and reading comprehension. They just added an oral fluency component, and so, but we have to check off some things with the state this year that we are working toward. So, then in terms of instruction, the grading policy and communication for grades 6 through 8, there was a summer committee this summer, and we are looking to codify that within the middle school, and so there will be a presentation on that in September as well. In terms of safety and security, we've been working with Alteris Consulting and Training. Our consultant was actually here today working on our building level plans and our district level plan. So we will continue to work with them. They've been sending us great resources. They keep track of all the changes coming down from the state and are helping us stay on top of those. One example of that is we now have to tell parents a week in advance of any time we have a drill of any kind. So if we have a fire drill, you will get an email that says, we're having a fire drill next week. We at first thought it was lockdown drills only, but it's any drill. And what's interesting is we have to tell parents in advance. We don't have to tell staff or students in advance for fire drills, for example. So there's different rules like that that are coming down that they're helping us keep track of and helping us make sure that we are in compliance. Then in terms of athletics, we have assistant coaches. There are some of them on, we have one sport that doesn't have an assistant coach yet that we will have on the next agenda. But we have assistant coaches for several of our sports, of our teams this year. And then we are updating our banners and the plaques in the gymnasium to make them more unified and have it just be a nicer layout overall. We do want to make sure that we maintain celebrating our undefeated season, so we're going to have banners for each of those, and we're going to have plaques for each of the teams that had an undefeated season, so their name is up on a plaque forevermore, as opposed to the banners that we have now. And they'll still be banners, but they're all different shapes and sizes and designs, and we just want it to look nice and neat in there. So that is being worked on as well. Then so also on tonight's agenda, we have the policy committee met last week or earlier this week. Was it this week? We met this week, and Michelle Kaiser and Mike Emsworth were on that committee. We had multiple Title IX language updates related to non-discrimination, equal opportunity, sexual harassment in the workplace, the grievance procedure for sexual harassment, defining sexual harassment, and bullying prevention. So we reviewed all of those changes. Much of that is just changes in the law, made it so that we had to change the policy. Then we do have a new policy that is up for adoption tonight about expressing breast milk in the workplace. That is a new mandatory policy that needs to be put into place. Michelle or Mike, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think you nailed it. It's just updating the regulations and laws, so it's just changing the language. And new policy is something we do about. It's legally we have to adopt it, so we're just making sure that it's reviewed in the policy committee.
Also on tonight's agenda is code of conduct revisions. One of the things that we noted that was brought to our attention was that in the code of conduct, we have a chart of infractions that I'll show you in a minute. But there were actually 3 infractions. Underneath the chart, along with the discipline consequences, there were descriptions for every single for every single infraction. And we were actually missing descriptions for 3 of those. And actually, not only were we lacking the descriptions, they were actually missing on our office referral as well. So we needed to add them to the office referral and add descriptions, and I'll go over those in just a second. And then in addition, there was a committee this summer on middle school eligibility related to academics and attendance, and so there were a few changes there, so I'll go over those now. So this is the chart that I was referring to. This has been in the code of conduct for years and years. Again, we have the infraction on the left, and the first time a student makes that infraction, the second offense, the third offense, and then these are consequences. And a 1 is a warning, and a 5 is an out-of-school suspension, right? So that there's a series there. So the 3 that we're missing are lying, obstruction of authority, physical misconduct, and misuse of technology and cell phones. So we wanted to make sure we got descriptions so that parents, students, and faculty and staff knew what those things meant. So in terms of lying and obstruction of authority, we added this language. Students are expected to be truthful and show integrity when engaging in any school-related activities. Lying is defined as when a student delivers a message that is untrue, misleading, purposefully incomplete, and or deliberately violates the rules. And this will just help us when we're meeting with students, that lying isn't just saying the wrong thing. Misleading someone is also an example of lying. In terms of physical misconduct, this description is needed because it better defines 2 things for us. Physical misconduct versus a fight, which I'll explain in a minute, and physical misconduct versus an assault. So with physical misconduct, students are expected to solve disagreements peacefully or with the support of a staff member. Students are expected to respect their peers, themselves, staff, and visitors to the school. Physical misconduct is defined as when a student engages in actions involving serious physical contact. For example, hitting, punching, pushing, shoving, hitting with an object, kicking, hair pulling, scratching. This action includes, but is not limited to, when one student is the aggressor and another student is passively involved in the altercation. So that's where the difference becomes between a fight and physical misconduct. If someone walks up to me and pulls a chunk of my hair out and I go tell the teacher, that's not a fight because I didn't engage in it. But it would be physical misconduct on the other individual's part. it is possible that two people are engaged in physical misconduct and it still not be a fight. So there are some nuances there. Results of physical misconduct may mean impairment of physical condition or substantial pain and may include, but is not limited to, black eyes, welts, abrasions, bruises, cuts not requiring stitches, swelling, and headaches not related to concussion. So again, this is the difference between physical misconduct versus an assault, right? If a child needs to go to the hospital because of the harm that another child did, that could elevate to assault and then therefore need police intervention with the action. However, if a child walks away with a mark that doesn't require the hospital, that would be more physical misconduct, not assault. And so that will help us with conversations both with students and with parents when they all upset with something. Again, physical misconduct is a serious infraction, and there are absolutely serious consequences to those, but it is different than an assault. Then we have the misuse of technology and cell phones, and I think this is probably going to be the biggest adjustment. I believe anyone that lives in New York State knows that the governor is actually working to ban cell phones from schools. I'm not sure exactly what that means yet or how that would work, but that is state level happenings that we advocate for and stay on top of, but we don't have control over voting that. What we do have control over is our own policies. And so as such, we have noticed an uptick in misuse of cell phones. We wanted to make sure we clearly defined it. This was the recommendation, all of these were the recommendation from the district and were reviewed by the board, by the policy committee. So, students are expected to focus on academics when they are at school. A technology violation is defined as when a student engages in inappropriate, as defined by the school, use of cell phone, music video players, cameras, tablets, and computers. This includes computers, software, internet accounts, accessing inappropriate websites, evading the district's content filter, using an outside wireless network, unauthorized use of cell phone, including, but not limited to, taking pictures and videos. Students may not use any communication device during the school day unless under the supervision of a teacher or administrator. Students may not film incidents that occur within school buildings or on school grounds and may not post them to social media. Students may not use social media to promote a physical altercation or an unauthorized student gathering. Students are prohibited from creating disruptions to the school day due to misuse of social media. Visible devices such as earphones or related equipment will be construed as usage. If students have an emergency or an extenuating circumstance, they may ask for permission to use these items in the school offices. So, as you may recall, there was a social media incident last fall with an event in the boys' locker room here at the middle school. We did have the misuse of technology infraction, but it wasn't there. So that would be an example of something that we could follow through and say this is inappropriate, and here's the language behind it to support that. Students have no expectation of privacy in cell phones or electronic devices, iPads, digital cameras, if utilized on school grounds, including the school bus. If there is a reasonable suspicion that a search will reveal a violation of the rules, cell phones and other electronic devices may be confiscated and searched, including searching calls, emails, texts, contacts, pictures, and other communications or internet access. So we will do that after with students and also in communication with parents, right? So this is another example where sometimes we like to handle things at a school level as opposed to entering to a police level. So if a student does report something, and another parent calls and complains, we can try and handle that in-house, because if we can't take care of it and ensure that something's deleted or wasn't reported, our only other option then is to go to the police. And a lot of times parents would much prefer that we handle a disciplinary situation like that. So those are the items in the code of conduct related to behavior infractions. Then in terms of the academic attendance and eligibility policy, there were three significant changes. One just involved moving something up, so I didn't include that. But in terms of academic ineligibility, it was just that when students were failing 2 or more subjects, that they would be academically ineligible. The committee recommended that it become if another scenario would be if they're failing 1 subject and also have attendance concerns. So if they are both attendance and failing 1 subject, then they would become ineligible for extracurricular activities. So again, they added language there as in red. In terms of ISS and OSS, there were two separate pieces, and the committee decided to combine that into one. And also they took out language about athletic contests. So if any student is in ISS or OSS, they already can't participate in athletics that day, just by the definition of ISS and OSS. There was language about additional contests, which caused confusion, because I think that when they first wrote it, they didn't realize that they couldn't participate on that day if they were in ISS or OSS. And also, if they were in ISS for 3 days, let's say, and then had to miss 2 more competitions, that could be up to 4 or 5 competitions, and then you're out for half of that. Could be half the season, especially at the modified level. We do want to use this policy to motivate students as opposed to punish students. So we wanted to keep in mind with that. Then there was something that was removed. We removed language about a requirement to go to summer school. The language was that if a failing student successfully completes the summer school program, they will be eligible to participate at the beginning of the following school year. And that's because we don't offer a summer school program. When we do have summer programming, we don't have a summer school. And we talked about this at the board level, right? So if there is a summer school, there are all sorts of things that come with that. You have to provide transportation. You have to run it a certain number of hours in the day. You have to provide food. You have to provide special education and all related services to students. There's all sorts of requirements that cost that, and we just don't have the number of students to justify running a full summer school program. So we took that language out. Any questions about the changes yet? Again, Mike and Michelle did review this as part of the policy committee, but were there any other questions from the board? Okay. All right, so on tonight's agenda, I did want to just go over, we have a contract with the GNR Inclusive Group. We are using title money, I believe, our staff development title money that has to be used on staff development to pay for this group to come in. But I wanted to invite Assistant Superintendent Petrazi up to speak briefly to you about this contract and this professional development and why we're having it. Ms. Petrazi?
For giving me the opportunity to speak this evening. As Sarah had mentioned, this year we're having a professional development focus on inclusive education or integrated co-teaching professional development with the GNR Inclusive Group. They are a group of special education administrators and teachers whose focus is to come into school districts and to strengthen the co-teaching practices in the classroom and foster collaboration between the teams. How we came to meeting or including this type of PD into our school comes from special education data that is sent to New York State Education Department every single year. Me as the administrator of the special ed department, every year I need to certify certain data with the state. One portion of that data is an indicator that addresses least restrictive environment. So basically, the recommendations of the Committee on Special Education and the placements of our special education students in the type of classroom that they're in. And we've always prided ourselves in offering a full continuum of classroom settings for our students based on what they need. New York State Ed has a strong focus on integrated co-teach model as being their model of choice. In submitting that data, they often pick different schools that require action plans or to attend different types of targeted skills group. It was our turn this past school year. So myself, Ro DiBernardi, Heather Greenberg, and Jennifer Pena attended monthly targeted skill groups with other, 16 other districts in Orange County, working on least restrictive environment practices. We then needed to develop an action plan that we needed to submit to the state of what we as a school district were going to do to foster in ICT type classrooms and continue to develop our staff so to better our student population and to provide specialized instruction. One of the items on our action plan was providing this PD to our staff to, again, foster more of an inclusive environment between the teams, having more of a co-teaching partnership, and GNR Inclusive Group follows the methodology of Marilyn Friend, who is the guru of integrated co-teaching. We chose the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade team to kick off with this PD as those teams of teachers work with content-specific teachers. So our special education teachers, in some cases, could be working with 5 different teachers and developing those collaborative relationships and the co-planning time and really having a true co-teaching model rather than the general education teacher teaching and the co-teacher walking around the classroom. We want to build relationships between those general ed and special education teachers. So that's where this all came from. Our summer workshop was our kickoff with our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade general ed and special education teachers. One of the representatives from GNR Inclusive Group joined us for a full day of really team building activities and building relationships and really working through all the different co-teaching models that are out there and really talking about with the teams of teachers which models would best serve our students. Moving forward, GNR is going to be coming in on a monthly basis, working with individual teams of teachers, whether it be 6th grade, it could be 2 teachers, general ed and special ed, it could be the entire team of general ed teachers in 7th grade with 1 special ed teacher. So they're going to be doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But really diving deep into supporting and redesigning lessons, the co-teaching structures, differentiation of materials, going into the classroom and observing the teachers, and then the co-teach model, and then doing a post-observation and talking about things that they could work on or things that they don't need to work on. So we're really excited about working with this team. And then once all of this is completed, I then have to submit the finalized action plan to the State Education Department that we have done work in this area. And I think it's going to be really beneficial to our teachers, and most importantly, that will turn key or trickle down most definitely to our students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm guessing when GNR is here, they're going to be here for the full day, right?
Yes, they're here for the full day, yes. So they came for the full day for the kickoff that day, and then they'll be here every month for 1 full day. So they could be working, they're going to try to rotate in. So they, if they feel they need to work with 1 full grade level on a particular day, they might be working with 1 full grade level. But their intent is to possibly work with multiple groupings on 1 day so that everybody has a rotational going in.
Thank you.
All right, also on tonight's agenda is the tax levy. We went out, I believe, with a 2.25 this year when we did the school budget vote, and I think that the board and the community will be pleased with what the final number is. The good news is that the assessed values, the assessments are up, which means we didn't have to go to that. So, Assistant Superintendent Alan Rowe, tax levy.
So thank you for allowing me to speak this evening about the tax levy. Every year, the Board of Education and administrative staff work diligently to keep any increases to a minimum. During the budget season, as Superintendent Hans said, the tax rate was determined to be 2.25 to support the 24-25 budget. setting a total tax levy of $17.8 million, with the expiration of the Millennium Pipeline pilot resulted in a $1 million increase to assessed value, which drove the tax rate down to 1.9%, an increase, which translates to $2, bringing it from $166 per thousand to $168 per thousand of assessed value, resulting in the $168.97, an increase of $2 over prior year. Every year we use a $30,000 average home as the median home. This year, a home assessed at $30,000 has a market value of about $337,000. And the increase is $2 per $30,000 assessed value, bringing it to a $60 increase over prior year. We have several mechanisms for tax relief. We have the STAR program, the senior citizen exemption, the veterans exemption, and this year the board approved the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers exemption. The state STAR exemption has a basic STAR savings of a maximum of $680 for the year, and the enhanced STAR savings is $1,746. The senior citizen tax exemption is available to property owners 65 years of age or older with an income between $19,500 to $27,899, and they're eligible for a reduction in assessed value on a sliding scale from 5% to 50%. We also have the veterans exemption, and that ranges from $253 to $3,379, depending on the veteran's qualifications. And then this year, the board approved the volunteer firefighters and ambulance workers, and that exemption this year would be a maximum of $506. Are there any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank goodness for the pipeline, coming off pilot.
So that concludes my presentation for this evening, unless any board members have any questions.
No, thank you. Okay, so I don't think, is there anything from Chester or Warwick considering it's summertime, or is there anything about back to school already for September, or?
I have something from Warwick, just for fall sports, any student wants to try out for fall sports must sign up. Some sports tryouts start next week, some will start the following week. So you can go onto the Warwick website and register your child there. Also make sure their physical is updated in the apparel on that format on the website as well. Incoming seniors, there's one more college workshop. There's been workshops the past 2 Wednesday mornings, I know. There's the last one will be August 21st. Those are to help incoming seniors with their college applications and their college essay. Guidance counselors are there ready and willing to help your student. The time is 9 to 11 a.m. Again, August 21st. You can also go on the website and sign up for that. And that's just for incoming seniors. And if you are attending that workshop, you should show up with your charged Chromebook. So I want to bring that. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Same thing in Chester, fall tryouts start next week. Same, and all the information is on the website. To that, and I'm sure it's all the same with the schools, etc. Their first day of school is September 4th. Our day is the 3rd, I believe, right? So they'll have an extra day to sleep in. And then, speaking of what you said, they're moving to school from school messenger to Parent Square. So which is a very similar system, which I know my district is also doing Parent Square, so it's different. Massachusetts. So be aware of that if you're in Chester and Harriman. And that's it.
We are providing a bus again to the Warwick orientation that they have for students. So that is set up, and I believe our transportation department is communicating with families directly about that. I don't believe Chester has the same program, but if they did, we would be offering a bus there too.
No, thank you. Okay, Nisba?
Nothing really that new with NISBA. We just have the advocacy business meeting coming up in October. Again, I'll emphasize on the electronic buses that we're supposed to be implementing this year. There is some pushback, but I would advise the community to continue to push back because
Thank you, Michelle. Go ahead.
I did want to just update, because I know that this has been the radar of the board, as well as some community members, but we have heard officially that New York State Education Department's stance on the mixed competition rule is going to change. So they are going to release that information, and it's going to be officially announced in September. But that is the rules where they were going to change it and say that if we didn't offer both the boys and the girls, that the boys would be on the girls' teams. And so,
And vice versa.
and vice versa. And they're going to leave it as it has been at the local level, for the local level to decide. And so that is good news for us that we can do this and do what's best for the kids in our district and not be forced into something.
Okay. Oxma, Mike?
Some of the report meeting starts in September.
All right, thank you. Audit committee?
external auditors came in last week, did their inspections, and everything looks good.
Thank you. As always. Facilities, I know the windows were all replaced, and I know you guys saw there's no lines on the parking lot because that was all seal coated. Hopefully the lines will be there before school starts.
Chaos.
Budget committee, obviously, Ann just provided that, so everybody's happy that we came in under the tax rate, and we will be meeting sometime in September to start the budget committee for next year. And the policy committee already spoke, so if you guys want to add anything, go ahead. PTSA.
I met with the new president this week, and they are going to co-sponsor and meet the principal at the end of August to meet the elementary school principal, and we'll have other administrators there as well. So we're going to do that, and then they are going to give us cookies for the back to school bash again, and we talk about multiple events throughout the year. So I look forward to another productive year collaborating with the PTSA.
Okay, thank you. And I don't see Chad here for the Village of Greenwood Lake, but I know the centennial is coming up, so I'm sure he would want us to mention that. There's a float, the parade, the unearthing of the time capsule. So I know there's going to be live music there, bands playing. So it should be good. So hopefully, if you're around, you can attend.
Cheer for our float when we pass.
Okay, subject 5, correspondence to the board. I'm not sure if everybody saw it, but we did receive an email from Orange Ulster that Mr. William Boss will be our correspondence from Orange Ulster. And I know he was here for 8th grade graduation, and he did let us know that he would try and be here more often this year. So hopefully he follows through.
I speak with him regularly at the Oxford meetings.
Okay.
So we're in communication with him constantly, even if he can't get it, because he said he wants to try to get it more often, but he's still very communicative with us. So.
He's always
Perfect.
very supportive as well.
All right, thank you. Subject 6.1, privilege of the floor. So, before anybody starts, I'm going to read my wonderful statement about comment at public meetings. Public expression at meetings shall be encouraged, and the following guidelines are intended to promote an orderly procedure for public comment and participation. The public will be given the opportunity to address the board regarding items of interest and concern during the privilege of the floor section of each monthly regular board meeting. And just remember, you can ask questions, but we will not provide answers tonight. We'll take those questions down, and then somebody will respond with hopefully the answer you're looking for. Anyone wishing to be heard must sign in on the public comment form prior to the start of the business meeting or before speaking. Speakers will be asked to state their name before addressing their question or statement to the board. Speakers may be limited to 3 minutes each in their comments or questions. Speakers are to have the right to speak without interruption and are to address the president of the board. That's me, so I'm the lucky one. Comments regarding specific personnel will be ruled out of order and referred to the superintendent. So if you guys mention anybody by name, we're just going to ask you to stop speaking, okay? Speakers will not be recognized for a second time until all who wish to speak have been given an opportunity. The board may suspend privilege of the floor if it's determined that continued discussion on a particular topic will prevent the board from completing its scheduled business, or if one of the above guidelines are not adhered to and continued participation is deemed to be disruptive. So, privilege of the floor.
Where's the pen? Over there. Where?
Over, see, butts the podium.
Ah,
Yeah, and you're gonna have to turn on the microphone.
how do I do that?
A little button that you have to slide.
This? Put your glasses on, lady. Glasses only let me see far. Good evening. Appreciate your time. My name is Beth Buckley, and I will be speaking on behalf of Raymond Lake Teachers Association Executive Board. We have some comments and concerns. As we would like to welcome our new assistant principal this evening. We're confident that Ms. Mello Ramos is going to be an asset to our team. We were disappointed, however, that the normal interview process was not afforded the staff from the middle school, where, by the superintendent's description, most of her time will be spent. At the June Board of Education meeting, Mrs. Laura Kroll, who was retiring, requested an exit interview. She has not yet received communication from the board as to when this interview will be scheduled. Additionally, with the recent resignation of Nicole Gauscher, we were hoping that she too would receive an exit interview. We are aware that two administrators, who have left the district participated in scheduled exit interviews. We feel that these interviews are important in order for all of us to understand why educators are leaving our district. Pardon me. A teacher on special assignment was recently appointed to replace the Director of Pupil Personnel as the CSE-CPSE chairperson. We are curious as to the future career path for this TOSA, as the Director of Pupil Personnel Services position has been abolished. When the new Assistant Superintendent became the TOSA for the Special Education Department, she was given a path to becoming Director of Pupil Personnel and Special Education. What will be the path and/or future for the newly appointed TOSA? Pardon me. Superintendent also reported a reduction in the administrative portion of the school budget by $15,000 to $20,000. The TOSA position was described as being paid for through a grant. With the addition of a new school psychologist and an assistant principal, we would like a detailed description of the plan for these new salaries. At that same meeting, the superintendent planned to send an anonymous survey regarding feedback and/or questions and comments about the proposed changes to the instructional administrative team. We are wondering whether the members of the board read responses in addition to the superintendent, and what your thoughts were about the responses. While there are many rumors circulating about the negotiating of the contract for our SRPs, we would like to be very clear that at no time did the Greenwood Lake Teachers Association neglect its responsibility to negotiate good faith. Settling our SRP contract by the end of June 2024 was our top priority. We are looking forward to settling this contract as soon as possible, as our SRPs are now beginning the new school year without a contract. We're hoping we can all make this a top priority. Lastly, we understand that President of the Board of Education had suggested that members of the GLTA Executive Committee be given an opportunity to meet with the Board of Ed and the superintendent in an effort to maintain transparency. We continue to welcome and do look forward to this opportunity. Again, I thank you for your time, and have a good evening. Do I turn this thing off? Yes?
Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Michelle Ruggiero. I'm a taxpayer, and my grown children and I all attended school here. I'm a 17-year employee with the district and work in the elementary school as an SRP. I'm also an executive member of the GLTA. I mean no disrespect to the current and new administrators that have been hired, but with that being said, I find it extremely disheartening to learn that our district was able to hire admins while our SRPs are currently working without a contract. How can the district spend so much money on administrators while claiming the amount needed to settle our contract is exorbitant? SRPs are the backbone of this district. We support the teachers and students in countless important ways. We work very hard, and we put our hearts into our jobs every single day. To know that we work every day for people that don't value us is insulting at best. I'm respectfully asking that you reflect on the current situation regarding our contract and reconsider your stance. Administrators are not starting their school year without raises and contracts. Our SRPs should not be either. I ask that you make it a priority to come to an agreement with the negotiating team and settle our contract as soon as possible. Doing so will show the SRPs that they are valued, appreciated, and respected. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else before we move forward? No? Thank you again for your comments. Okay, subject 7.1. May I please get a motion to adopt the district code of conduct as presented? Mike? Erin? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 7.2. May I please get a motion to waive the second readings and adopt at first reading the following policies as presented? Mike? Erin? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 7.3. May I please get a motion to waive the second readings and adopt amended policies as presented at first readings? Michelle? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.1, may I please get a motion to approve the July 31st, 2024 financials and monthly warrants as presented? Mike? Ian? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.2, may I please get a motion to confirm tax rolls and authorize the tax levy as presented? Mike? Patty? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.3, may I please get a motion to amend the Board of Education business meeting calendar as presented? That was to change the meeting from Monday to tonight, by the way. Mike? Patty? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.4, may I please get a motion to amend the district organizational chart as presented? Mike, Aaron, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.5, may I please get a motion to approve the district-wide safety plan as presented? Mike, Patty, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.6, may I please get a motion to authorize the execution of the 2023-2024 APPR implementation certification form as presented? Michelle? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.7, may I please get a motion to appoint Kayla Andrews as CPSE and CSE member as presented? Mike? Aaron? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.8, may I please get a motion to authorize the superintendent to execute the following health service agreements as presented? Mike? Ian? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.9, may I please get a motion to approve GNR Inclusive Group Consultant Services as presented? Mike? Patty? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.10, may I please get a motion to approve the Little Pediatrics Agreement as presented? Aaron? Ian? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.11, may I please get a motion to approve the Orange Ulcers BOCES Cooperative Transportation Services Agreement as presented? Mike? Patty? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.12, may I please get a motion to approve the private school transportation request for the 2024-2025 school year as presented? Mike? Michelle? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.13, may I please get a motion to approve the allowance change orders for the middle school window replacement capital project number 001-024 as presented? Aaron? Mike? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.14, may I please get a motion to approve the final payment for Train US Inc. for the middle school capital project number 001-026 as presented? Aaron, Mike, and that was for the boilers, just in case anybody's. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 8.15, may I please get a motion to extend the agreement with Auctions International as presented? Mike? Aaron, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.1. May I please get a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Nicole Gauscher as presented? Mike, Aaron, any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Gauscher, for all your years of service. You'll be missed. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.2. May I please get a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Jennifer Dwyer's lunch recess aide as presented? Mike, Patty, any discussion? Thank you, Mrs. Dwyer, for your service. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.3. May I please get a motion to accept with regret the resignation of Kim Campion as lunch recess aide as presented? Mike, Patty, any discussion? Kim, thank you for your years of service. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.4. May I please get a motion to appoint Matthew Blauvelt as 7th, 8th grade science teacher as presented? Mike, Aaron, any discussion? Welcome aboard. We look forward to working with you this coming year. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.5. May I please get a motion to appoint Carrie Devine as school bus monitor as presented? Aaron, Mike, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.6. May I please get a motion to appoint Marianne Cerrone as substitute school bus monitor as presented? Mike, Patty, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.7. May I please get a motion to appoint the following mentors as presented? Aaron, Mike, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.8. May I please get a motion to appoint staff members as club advisors and advisors as presented? Aaron, Michelle, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 9.9. May I please get a motion to appoint the following sports coaches for the 2024-2025 school year? Mike, Aaron, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 10.1. May I please get a motion to accept the recommendations for CPSE and CSE as presented? Mike, Aaron, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Subject 11.1. May I please get a motion to adjourn to executive session? Mike, Patty, and there will be no action taken after the executive session, and we're meeting to discuss medical, financial, credit, or employment history of any particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of any particular person or corporation. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. The next Board of Education meeting will take place on Monday, September 9th at 6 p.m. in the middle school cafeteria. And please get a motion to adjourn this meeting. Michelle, Patty, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.